Hello, what's up guys? For today's work in progress, I am going to show you a patch that I made. Patch meaning sound. So I'm going to play it on this drum pad here. Super cool. A little bit of context here. By the way, let me set the camera. There's gonna be a quick cut. Awesome. So a little bit of context here. I made this patch as part of a quick little project that I proudly finished in one night, from concept to recording to editing. But basically, I had to make a video to apply for a grant. And for that grant, they basically ask you to show off some of your developments, show off your musicianship. So I thought, I had my best chances if I showed off my e-drum stuff. So that's what I did, and I made this patch playable from my drum pad. And yeah, I'm just gonna show you how I did it, how I made it, the thought process behind it. And first things first, and this kind of sucks because I just set up the camera, but let me bring you there. So, this is not really going to be a drum pad video, guys. This is specifically a patch. But I'll just tell you the quick rundown of the I/O here. So really, all my pads go into this little box. This box is a USB cable that runs through the ground sneakily into my computer. All you need to know is it sends a certain note. I don't know exactly what pad that note sends, but I've already had it set up. But essentially, when it comes into the patch, it gets converted to C3. So everything ultimately reads as C3. And if you don't know what that means, that just basically means every drum pad gets converted to the basic note. So, they're separated, but they all sound normal. Say if I use that drum pad to play a piano sound, it will play the most centered key, the C3. So that's the I/O part. I don't really want to dive deep into it. That'll be another video. If you have questions, DM me. But beyond that, hopefully my screen is recording. Okay, it is. Yay. So let me show you what it is. First of all, that patch is actually only made of 2 samples. So I'll show you the sample here. Oh, here. Okay. What the fuck? Okay, I found it here. Okay, that's number 1. And this is number 2. Notice the first top note is the same note, okay? This is somewhat important. So both of those samples, the first note is see it? Okay, cool. So obviously that's 2 samples, but I'm playing it from the same sample pad. So what gives? Well, basically I wanted to create a patch where I can just use one pad, but it somewhat creates a chord progression. So in that grant video, you will see me hitting that pad every bar essentially while I play drums. So I'm doing both. I'm doing the keyboard layer, but also playing drums. So how is it that is happening? Well, I can tell you, number one, it's not a sequence. This is by chance. So every time I hit that pad, there's a randomized outcome. Okay, so it all starts here in this layer. Don't care about these. These are basically my drumming IO things. But it starts here, okay? From this point on, it's saying, oh, whenever I hit that pad, it's going to use this Dwelly Fairfax cycle rack. Okay? Number one, I use chance a lot, by the way, or random a lot in Ableton to program these things. But number one is a 50% chance to go either to play C3 or C sharp 3, right? So there's a drum rack. If you don't know what drum rack is, it's kind of too much to explain, but basically it's a sampler that lets me pick what note plays what. Simple enough, right? So remember I said 2 samples? Well, by default, that drum pad is playing E3, but because of this chance thing, it has a 50% chance that it actually goes 1 note higher to C sharp 3. So here are the 2 samples, right? C receiving C3 will play this sample, and C sharp 3 will play the F minor sample. Okay? Essentially, that's the whole process behind it. Down the line, I split it even further, but you can already tell, oh, even with just this, I'm getting 50% chance between 2 chords. So that already gives me some variation, but of course, 2 chords kind of like randomized isn't really a real progression. So there's a little more, okay? Again, another split, okay? So each of these have the same setup onwards. So we'll just focus on one of them right now. Check out the D minor one, okay? This looks kind of insane, but essentially this is a 7-way split. And the way I got 86 is literally 100 divided by 7, and minus 100% minus that. So there's basically I split the odds amongst those 7 choices, okay? Okay, again, gonna be a long video, sorry guys. Ignore this octave up for now, okay? So check it out. This is what I originally had. Again, it's kind of hard to explain the Ableton MIDI plugins, but essentially what this does, the scale plugin does, is it converts notes to a different note. So basically I'm limiting my options because, okay, here's a concise way to describe it. I want some variation, but I don't want crazy variation. An example of crazy variation: if that sample is played in all 12 different roots, that's too much. It's gonna clash, right? Like, say if you think of a pentatonic scale, it's so easy to use because the options are limited. There's only 5 options versus your normal 7, or in a chromatic scale, all 12 notes of the scale. So I don't want the 12, I want the limited one. So essentially this is what's doing that. No matter what note, what in between notes gets pressed, it will jump to the ones that I highlighted. So honestly, this is kind of trial and error. I don't exactly remember what I did. It's not an exact pentatonic, I don't think. I just picked some roots that I liked. And even then, I honestly, at the end, I chose an even more simple one. So see, this is just two-way, right? But there are different options. This is a three-way split, two-way split, whatever. Mind you, both of these samples have that. So I'm already splitting two ways. So say if I did this one, splitting three ways. So I'm splitting 2 and then splitting 6, meaning ultimately there will be 6 potential options, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And because they share the same top note, which is why I chose those two samples, they share a lot of common tones, and hence sounds like it's planned harmony. And again, you're balancing the act between, oh, I want more variation and it sounds cool, but if there's too much variation, it sounds like unintentional, and just pure random, which doesn't always sound good. So ultimately, I actually picked an even more simple split. See, it's just two-way, right? This means, oh, no matter what note is pressed, it will just jump to this one. Yep. So in the end, I did a four-way split, right? Between the two samples, and each of those samples has 2 variations. Okay, sorry for the cut. I figured it out. I kind of have to relearn what I did. But okay, here. So quick recap here. I wanted to do a chord patch that plays from one drum pad. So in order to do that, and I didn't want to do a sequence either. So I had to use a bunch of randomness programmed into the patch itself. So it came from 2 samples that I split the chance halfway with this MIDI plugin right here. 50% chance to play either the D minor sample or F minor sample. Until here it's pretty simple, right? But then I wanted a little extra variation, so another one of these chance things to split it up even further, even though ultimately I just split each of them two-way. So see this? First split here into these 2 samples. Each of these samples have another split into either its original or a fifth up. So currently I'm at total 4 choices, okay? But I liked the root selection, but I also wanted even a little bit more of aliveness or breathability. So in order to do that, I have decided that sometimes I want it to not only play the chord but also play a copy of itself an octave higher. So imagine I play my chord on the left hand, but sometimes my right hand is playing the exact same thing an octave higher. So how did I do that? Well, this is kind of complex, so bear with me here. But first of all, number 1, so I have this instrument rack here. They both have the same sample right here. But I need one of them to be, a different octave, right? So this is the key part here, okay? let's check this out first. This keyboard roll thing, as you can see, basically it means on the second one, the octave up one, only triggers if it is above this point. Anything lower, it doesn't trigger. Okay, so this is gonna be the optional higher octave. And the split is here. There's another chance splitter here. See, 28% chance of it going an octave up. So there's a chance that this plays, but then this one always plays. Okay, but there's a problem here. When this is playing an octave up, and well, this one is smooth sailing. This one doesn't need any help, right? It plays an octave up. It's gonna sound on the higher register, but the problem is the original chord is also going to be an octave up, and I don't want that. I want it to always have the same low register, no matter I hit this chance or not. I'll say that one more time. So this thing gives it a chance to trigger the octave up layer. But I don't want the original layer to be affected by it being played an octave up, because if I just play it, leave it as is, both of them will be an octave up. So how do I keep the first one, the original layer, unaffected? It's this thing right here. It's the same scale plugin, except I'm not using it to change the notes, but I'm using it to transpose it back down. But here's the important part. You see this lowest? This is basically saying this -12 is only active when I'm above this note. You see, I'm at E3 right here, right? So it means from this point lower, and you have to look at my cursor here, from this point and before, it's normal. But when this is on and I'm playing in higher octave, starting from this E3, it gets transposed back down 12. I'll say that again. Before this half is unaffected. And that's fine, because that means this octave up didn't hit the chance. But when it does hit the chance and it's on the second half of the piano roll, well, this one turns on as a result, and it transposes it back down. That is the trickiest thing that I figured out. Basically, that was the hardest part of this patch. But that lets me have an optional chance of having this octave up layer, while the bottom layer, no matter if this chance is hit or not, is unaffected. It's still playing the same thing. Woo! There you go. There you have it. So yeah, basically I have 4 potential chords that are randomized, plus a chance of each of those chords to copy itself an octave up as a cute little layer. I'll try to hit it one more time so you can hear the effect. I'll try the D one. So each 4 of those, I have the exact same setup. See? Here. What the fuck? Okay, octave up. Yep. Exactly. So let me try to hit it. So that didn't have it. Didn't have it either. Oh, actually I can just change the chance here. So, but if I bump up this chance, oh, there you go. Let there is that higher chance right there. Okay, one last little tidbit, and I know this is an extremely long video. I feel like this is a freaking theme, but okay, so when I was playing with it and recording, I did want it random, but when it was really time to create the song and make the video, I mean, I do kind of want it to be able to be changed, because if I use it as is, there's no way for me to actually pick a note. So here, again, this will warrant a little bit of your own research, but just a quick heads up that it's possible. Okay, so I made a couple new MIDI tracks, and you can do an input from existing tracks, right? I'll say that again. I made a new MIDI track, and then I picked the input to be from an existing track. Okay. Yeah, please, if you're lost, I understand, just DM me. But all of that is to say, here, this looks fucking crazy. But essentially, you can pick a step of the process to read the note. So as this is going, so by the way, this is a copy of this, okay? But you see, okay, I'm gonna change the color so you can see it better. Look, this is what I'm playing on the drums, right? It's all the same note because I'm only playing on the same drum pad. But this is the same chain, by the way. Here, look, see, same chain. But because I created a new MIDI track and then I selected the source to be from this yellow one, and then I went down the chain to pick the correct step. So basically that's saying, oh, I don't want to read the MIDI note here. I want to read it after it did all the freaking splitting. I want to read the note here. So the way I had it was I would just let this play. I would just press play, and then I will press record for these two. You see they're linked. And because it was at the correct position, you know, this is the whole chain, and I picked the right spot in the chain, it actually recorded the randomized outcomes. So by copying the same chain here, you see, so this is the end of that chain, right? You recognize this? So essentially, I recorded the randomization and printed the randomization, and ultimately use these notes. I don't know why they're not showing on the... They're there somewhere. Yeah, there's a tiny little note here. See? So now, see, it's always playing the same note. And that's because I recorded the randomization. And yeah, so a little extra info here about, so, you know, because this happens to me a lot. Oh, I created a cool randomizer patch, but ultimately when I'm making the track, I don't want for it to be random. I want to be able to sequence it. So that's how I record randomization to print, so to speak. So yeah, this is my quick tutorial. Well, not quick at all. 30-minute tutorial. Holy shit. But hope you enjoyed. Yeah. I don't see a lot of people understand what the fuck I'm saying. But this is the kind of thing that if you did want to learn it, it would be super clutch to have someone show you. So hopefully I did that. But yeah, this is my work in progress. Hopefully you liked it. Check out my grant video on Instagram. But yeah, until next time, have a good night.